When Republicans lecture America about visa integrity, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett does something rare. She applies their standards to everyone, including the Trump family. What happens next exposes hypocrisy they don't want you to see. Let's break it down.
Gentleman yields. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much. It's interesting that we're being accused of wanting all kinds of criminals to be on the streets, or that we don't believe that people should show up to their meetings and appointments. Last time I checked, there's a lot of people that are actually being grabbed as they are going in for their appointments. In fact, we know that one of the candidates that was recently running in this mayoral, he ended up being arrested because he decided that he was actually going to escort people that are actually showing up to their meetings. Or we know that the Pope, yes, the Pope himself, decided that the church may need to have people that are going to escort people as they're going into their meetings, because the reality is that what they are claiming what they want to do versus what they're actually doing, the actions don't match up. And while we are supposed to be talking about visas, somehow we continue to cherry pick and talk about one criminal act and another criminal act. And it is so very interesting to me that, yes, we will say people are xenophobic, because when you start to decide that just because somebody came from another country, they are automatically some kind of criminal, that does sound kind of xenophobic to me, because you are using a paintbrush to paint an entire group of people where the vast majority of them are coming here because they are actually seeking a better life. But let me get to what this hearing is supposed to be about. The idea that Trump and my Republican colleagues want to restore integrity and security in the visa process is actually a joke. Let me be clear. Integrity is not snatching lawful visa holders off the streets and throwing them into unmarked vans. Integrity is not revoking visas based on social media posts that hurt somebody's little feelings because kids decide that they want to go after Trump or this administration. We have a thing called free speech in this country. And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the first lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here. Nevertheless, what Republicans are doing with this reconciliation process, the travel bans and revoking visas, jeopardizes our national security. It threatens our communities, our higher education, and our economy. Visas like the largely vetted J visas for higher education and M visas for trade, training, attract the next innovators, medical providers, researchers, and educators that we need to build on American success. I'm not gonna mess up your name, so I'm not doing that. But I'm with you, okay? In your experience, do individuals on J or M visas typically improve or impair our economy?
They generally improve the economy, and I can give a brief example. My wife is a very successful woman. She makes a ton of money, which I'm grateful for. And the reason why we're able to do that while having 3 children is because of the au pair visa, somebody who is here on a J, who is here and able to supply this for us. But I also want to defend Melania real quick. Not everybody could marry Donald Trump, and I think that's quite an achievement. So I think she deserves credit for that. Nobody up here could have done it.
You sure right, I couldn't do it. But anyway, in fact, J visa holders contribute $43.8 billion to the U.S. economy and support more than 300,000 jobs. And make no mistake, immigrants improve the health of U.S. citizens too. Despite the fact we already have a doctor shortage, Trump's reckless travel ban and visa overhaul are exacerbating this crisis by impairing hundreds of hospitals with foreign-trained doctors set to do their residencies here in the United States, meaning fewer people will get the help they need and more people will die. Now, let me remind you that Republicans are trying to gut Medicaid. Roughly 4.5 million people receive caregiver services through Medicaid, and most of these folks are in red states. And wouldn't you know that in 2023, Kaiser Family Foundation estimated that almost 30% of long-term care providers or home caretakers were immigrants. It's like Republicans want Americans to suffer. Now, Republicans say visas make us less secure, but let's talk about how visas given to victims of crimes like rape, murder, human trafficking, torture, abduction, kidnapping, to help law enforcement with their investigation or prosecutions of these crimes. These folks are risking their own security for broader safety of Americans and our communities. Thank you so much. I will yield.
Gentlelady yields, and our chair now recognizes himself.
What makes this moment from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett powerful isn't the line that grabbed headlines, it's the structure of her argument and the hypocrisy she exposes step by step. Republicans often frame immigration debates around law and order, claiming they simply want people to follow the rules and show up to their appointments. Crockett begins by dismantling that claim with real-world evidence. Lawful visa holders are being detained while doing exactly what the government requires of them, attending check-ins, court dates, and immigration meetings. When churches and even the Pope feel the need to organize escorts to protect people from being detained while complying with the law, that tells you enforcement has crossed into intimidation. This is where her point about xenophobia lands. Crockett is not saying every concern about immigration is racist. She's pointing out that when an entire group of people is treated as criminal by default simply because they are foreign-born, that is xenophobia by definition. It ignores data and replaces facts with fear. Then Crockett pivots to the heart of the hearing, visas and integrity. Republicans claim the visa system is being abused, yet they refuse to examine the most politically inconvenient example, the Trump family. Her reference to Melania Trump's EB-1 Einstein visa is not a personal attack, it's a policy critique. That visa is designed for people with sustained, extraordinary achievement at the very top of their fields. Crockett's argument is straightforward. If Republicans want to scrutinize students, caregivers, and doctors, they should apply the same scrutiny to the wealthy and well-connected. The reason that moment resonates is because it mirrors what Americans see every day. Rules are enforced aggressively against working people and immigrants, while exceptions are quietly made for those with power. That's not integrity, that's favoritism. Crockett then expands the discussion to consequences Republicans rarely acknowledge. Legal visa programs like J and M visas don't weaken the country, they strengthen it. They support universities, fuel innovation, staff hospitals, and provide essential caregiving services. These visa holders aren't abstract statistics. They are the doctors treating patients, the caregivers helping seniors, and the workers keeping communities running in red and blue states alike. Her warning about healthcare is especially urgent. At a time when Republicans are pushing to cut Medicaid and ignoring severe doctor shortages, they are also undermining immigration pathways that keep hospitals staffed. That contradiction isn't accidental. It reflects a broader disregard for how policy decisions affect real people. Crockett's mention of U visas drives the point home. These visas are granted to victims of serious crimes who cooperate with law enforcement. They help solve cases involving trafficking, rape, kidnapping, and violent assault. Calling these individuals a security threat is not only false, it actively undermines public safety. What Crockett does here is reframe the debate. Immigration isn't about fear, it's about fairness, legality, and humanity. Democrats are arguing for a system that applies rules evenly, protects communities, and recognizes immigrants as contributors, not scapegoats. That's why moments like this matter. They expose the gap between Republican rhetoric and Republican reality, and they remind us that policy choices have human consequences.